What would you like to change about your sound, or what's something that you would like to improve?
입술이 좀 잘 떨리는 소리가 났으면 좋겠는데 너무 약간 좀 큰 피스를 써서 더.
So I'm very familiar with the effects of playing on a mouthpiece that's too wide, because I've been trying to get comfortable playing the one rim, the number one rim. And I still can't do it. I can't commit to it because I notice that it's not as easy for me to play. The big difference is in the upper register, especially. In the middle register, it sounds huge. I go, wow, I really want to play on the one rim because the sound gets bigger. Every time you go from 7 to 3 to 2 to 1, the sound just gets more and more. But in the upper register, it becomes more difficult to control and a little bit more too flexible. Like the difference between a guitar, which has frets, it makes it obvious how you play the notes, where the notes go, and then something like violin, where there are no frets and you have more personal responsibility. That's what it feels like for me in the upper register, is almost like there are no frets. That's what happens when the rim is too wide. So play something that goes into your upper register. Okay, it starts by just setting a standard of expectation, and never ever settling for something less. The standard is there will be no air in my sound, period. And if that means that you can't play as high for a little while, that's fine, it's better. We cannot make a very, very tall building if all of the floors are a little unstable. You have to make sure that that every step is very solid, and only then do you continue to build higher. So normally I play these kind of exercises with an accompaniment track or something, an application that gives you like jazz accompaniment. For now, let's just stay in time, make sure time is good. And it's just using trills, just one set of 2 notes, and making sure that both notes sound beautiful and feel the same. So we're going to be in 6/8. Doon doon tick doon tick tick doon tick tick ding doki doki doon tick tick ding, right? Okay. In this case, your trumpet, the middle D is very flat. The middle E, E flat, and D, that is very common among traditional trumpets. So you have to be very mindful of changing your air. You can't just use the same air and push the valve and expect a perfect change. You need to change your air a little bit also.
If he changed that trumpet, and
the D will not be flat. It's true. The E, E flat, D, they're flat because of this trumpet.
yes,
Would it be okay if you just switch the trumpet for his sake, like
Sure.
for the demonstration?
So because his trumpet is kind of a traditional size, and he likes having a warm sound, I'll give him the Universa. Now remember, so to keep the pitch very even, even if you have to go slower on the mouthpiece, play it on the mouthpiece to make sure you are controlling the pitch. On just the mouthpiece. Hold it steady. Make these notes perfect. At any tempo, but perfect. Yeah, and maybe instead of a trumpet in your left hand, you can practice this sitting at a piano. Play the piano with your left and the mouthpiece with your right. Since we have a piano, So let's compare. So the B flat sounds much tighter, right? That's the border. The A flat feels good, B flat feels tight. So maybe. Just every once in a while, just kind of like flirting with the high note, you know. Yeah, well, it's okay. You can. That's for home practice. But for now, play on the 2L, and see if it's better. Same thing. So, which one feels easier right now?
1L이랑 2L 어떤 게 지금 딱 그 영역을 연주했을 때 더 편하게 느껴지시나요?
비슷한데 약간 이게 좀 소리가 더 크게 나오는 것 같긴 한데.
The 2L has more open. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more clean.
More clean. 예. 더 깔끔하게 음색이 나오는 것 같다고 생각이 드시죠?
So that can be a really good way to test which size mouthpiece is best for you. Which one gives you the more clean sound when you're near the top of your comfortable range? All right. Well, that was a lot of time on that. So we're going to have to move on now.
그래서 이 연습법을 통해서 앞으로 더 많이 더 발전이 있었으면 좋겠다고 말씀하시고 시간을 많이 썼으니까 이제 다음으로 넘어가도록 하겠습니다. 다음 분 한 분만 이렇게 한번 나와보시죠.
All right. Hi. Nice to meet you. So, what kind of playing do you do?
I play jazz usually.
Excellent. And do you have you didn't bring your equipment?
You want me to bring?
Sure.
I mean, I like to try that Lotus Mouthpiece.
Great. Sure. Which size do you play?
I play B2 Monet.
Okay, B2. I have something even better for that over here. There are some options.
Okay.
We don't make exactly like a B2, so we just find which one you like the most. Trumpet, do you want to play on one of these horns? or-
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. What do you normally play?
That's a Yamaha.
Okay, so play some music. Play a nice melody. Okay, so things are starting to work a little bit. So let's change the trumpet for one. Automatically a big improvement, right? You guys agree? Yeah, okay. What would you like to have more of in your sound or in your playing experience?
Maybe upper register.
Okay.
Endurance, maybe.
Sure. If you, instead of, you're like pinching your lips together, and you can hear it when you're doing it on the mouthpiece. Bringing your lips so close together makes it very difficult to have an open sound in the upper register, and it also makes endurance really difficult. So that's a personal technique question, mostly. But we can definitely experiment with mouthpieces to find out if some mouthpiece inspires you to keep your lips open more when you go into the upper register. So one more time, play a quick part of that phrase,
Yeah.
and then we'll do A, B. So yeah, just one piece of the phrase and do the same thing on both mouthpieces. Okay. Cool. Here's a 1L.
Yeah. Easier.
easier, but also a little brighter, right? Not
Yeah,
quite
right.
as warm. If you want the warmth, then we have a couple of ways of getting to that. So now what I've given him is the 1XL2, which is a deeper cup. Also not a big bowl, but just a deeper kind of V'd cup. So this will give him more warmth for sure. What do you feel?
It's wider, kind of comfortable. Than previous one.
Then the L.
Yeah,
okay. Okay. Let's do some kind of scale exercise, like. With an accent on the. Yeah, see, it's tough to, you can't really tell what a mouthpiece can do for you or not do if you're too tight to make the notes speak. So it's exactly the same advice as I gave him.
Okay.
Do whatever it takes to keep the sound open. And if it's not open, stop. Pull the plug and start over with something that sounds open. So this whole, like, that's not the way to start. Start in a range that's comfortable and build from there. Like maybe some kind of hybrid exercise, like starting with the trill, including the trills, but also including this exercise, could be. Something like that, and stop when the trills are not clean.
From the C?
And really try to open it up. So. And in this case, vibrato will help you open it up because the woo 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 that it takes to use vibrato can be the thing that opens up your sound. Even if you start out with a tight sound, about 10 seconds later, you can have a very resonant sound. So now I'm combining 3 exercises together. There's the step 1, open your sound with vibrato. Step 2, ba-da-ba-da, play the 4 notes. And then step 3, put a trill. So now I'm just creating an exercise specific for this situation. Let's try that. So step 1, vibrato, open it up, and then step 2. That's much better, but you're still holding back. You can hear a little bit of air. Even maybe the pitch will drop if you're doing this very well, because the lips will get a little thicker, which is kind of the same as moving out the tuning slide. When the lips are thin, the pitch goes higher. When the lips are thick, then the pitch goes lower. It's like moving out the slide. All right, so the real sound is lower in pitch. Let's try.
Vibrato?
Hey, that's a beautiful tone. So from there, let that be the starting point. As many times when people start on a high note, it starts very tight. And the higher the note, the tighter the body, or the tighter the lips. Your body isn't super flexed. You're mostly relaxed, but your aperture is very tight. So we need to do some kind of preparation to keep your aperture open from the very beginning. So, you know, if you feel like it's tight, then you know, get up there in a way that allows you to be open, and then do what you want to do. That approach will make it more easy to understand the difference between one mouthpiece or another. From the top, and it's already open, then you can be a better judge of which mouthpiece you like best for the sound. Again, these instruments, they're amplifiers. They're not magical creatures, you know, so you have to give it something clean to amplify, something open. And when you're playing clean and open, then you can really appreciate what an amazing amplifier the instrument is. I think of the trumpet as an amplifier, and this is the instrument. It's a little different than, you know, normal, but it's more accurate. So it's an instrument. It's not a perfect instrument because, well, neither is a violin in that way, because you don't know exactly where the notes go. You have to put them there yourself. But everything is possible, you know, just on the mouthpiece. Just little trills, you know, that's all it takes to really explore the tone quality. Go between your mouthpiece and that mouthpiece and do the same.
Yeah. Just only mouthpiece?
Yeah. Don't start with this. Don't start with something tight. Start somewhere lower. Just start somewhere where the sound is beautiful. Start somewhere where the sound is beautiful and move as slow as necessary to get there. So it can be helpful to identify, where is my best starting note? Where does my sound be? Where is it open for very, you know, no effort, very easy? It's, okay, always this note is open. Where is that starting point? So where is that note for you? Search around and find, that's a good note. See, there's so you're good. All right, let's get on to the horn. So your technique is very tight. So it's probably the most helpful thing for you is to play with big vibrato, big, like cartoonish vibrato.
Okay.
In the beginning with the vibrato, your sound should get much louder. But then you can take your foot off the gas. You know, first make it clean, and then you can reduce the volume. Let's hear that on middle C. No, like, yeah, yep. Okay, but it can also be, that's much, much better. But also make the vibrato slower to really isolate. Don't be afraid to make a big sound, right? Don't be afraid.
큰 소리 내는데 그렇게 두려워하지 말라고 하시고.
There you go. That's the sound of a trumpet. You know, you can do that if you want, but you have to be able to play the fucking trumpet. The real sound of the trumpet. And then special techniques, that can happen too.
Yep.
That was a wonderful sound. So now open up an F. Yeah, you almost look surprised when it came out so good.
Getting used to it.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to take very long. Your development is kind of going slow, but as soon as you use vibrato, it can instantly open the sound. You know, it doesn't take more than 2-3 seconds. Yeah. Go ahead, try it. There you go. So that got really good in the middle there. So that is the goal. Start there and then play something, anything, but always start with a big open sound. Play that. And if it sounds good, then you're using, you know, then the technique is good. Then your lips are open. You know, you find something that reminds you of what the sound could be. You know, it's like connect the idea of a classical sound and the idea of a jazz sound. You know, there is no classical sound and jazz sound. There's just open and resonant or tight and ugly, you know. I think in general, it's good advice for jazz players to not identify as jazz players. You're not a jazz trumpet player. You're not. You're a trumpet player. So play the trumpet. You know, and if that means you should play a little classical music, do it. Maybe just a couple of pieces of music, but something to challenge you to open your sound. So there's language, and then there's tone quality. You know, jazz has many languages. Classical has many languages. You can speak any of those languages, but make sure that you're speaking it with a nice sounding voice. That's separate. Jazz players think that just because they play jazz, they don't have to worry about tone quality. You know, but actually, if I'm only playing jazz, but I'm playing with a bad tone quality, it doesn't matter how many notes I can play. It doesn't sound nice. So yeah, we've spent a lot of time here, but hopefully you also have lots of tools for improvement. And after you've been doing these exercises a bit, go back to the shop and try all the mouthpiece options again and see what is most helpful for you. Yeah?
Thank you.
Excellent. Very welcome.
Thanks very much.